Hey guys, Proxious here. I'm a Grandmaster ADC on EU West, and today we're gonna talk about 5 tips you can abuse as ADC to climb out of any elo. So basically what you need to know first and foremost is that some of these tips will have subcategories that detail the process of each point. So without any further ado, let's jump into it. We're gonna start with one of the most important aspects in League or any other game, which will help you greatly improve. I'm talking about limit testing. Yes, limit testing is one of, if not the most used method by people in order to adapt to the meta, or when learning new champions or combos with your favorite one. Go into that practice mode first, get to know your champion's cooldowns, range, combos, the way it moves, the way it auto-attacks. This will overall help you get a feel and the grip of the champion you're about to master. Then you jump into the game and start limit testing. And what I mean by that is that in order to know your champion's limits, you want to make sure to play pretty aggressive on the enemy bot lane and test out those combos and playing around your cooldowns as well as your range. Also, one of the biggest mistakes that stop people from climbing is their fear of losing LP. Do not be afraid of losing your LP. They don't really show you real level, they are just means to reach a certain goal. And that goal will be reached by the efforts and work you put into adapting and learning new things while expanding your game knowledge. Moving on to the second point, farming and trading. Have you ever wondered how pros achieve 300 CS at 25-minute marks in competitive? Well, get ready, because you'll be able to do it as well after this video is over. Well, first and foremost, last hitting can be insanely improved just by getting to that practice tool, going into lane level 1 without buying items and trying to super last hit. And what I mean by super last hitting is to make sure to see the last allied minions autos come in before you auto the dying enemy minion. For the second point, which is why you lose so much waves. Waves are like objectives, just like towers or kills, and they represent up to 80% of your chance of winning. The only time where it's okay to drop waves is if you know for 90% that you're going to join a fight, which is going to give you more gold, XP, or tempo over the enemy team. In other words, you have to balance and figure out if the outcome of that fight brings you more than the wave you're about to leave. For our third point, it's a common mistake that every low elo makes, which is that they never think about how they set up their waves, especially when something unusual happens. They don't know if they should show the wave or freeze it or build a slow push, which makes them have a bad reset and lose even more waves. I'll make it simple. In solo lanes, you can build a freeze with up to 4 CS plus, which means if your wave has 4 more CS than the enemy wave, then it will freeze. Also, another tip to get more CS is farming jungle camps. Yes, farming jungle camps whenever you see your jungler patting the opposite side. You can check the camps, as it will only make them respawn and make them give more gold and XP. And trust me, your jungler will not rage quit the game if he sees the ADC, who has 10 CS per minute, take a jungle camp he never planned to put towards to. For the trading inside the lane, you have to follow these specific points. You do not trade if enemy has CS advantage. You will take more damage for no reason. You can trade HP if you're in a scenario where the enemy bot is about to get dove. Of course, the same thing applies if enemy bots are building wave on you, which might lead to a 3 or 5 main dive. So you wanna make sure to keep your HP. To have more efficient trades, you will have to memorize the matchups and play around your red advantage. For example, with Kai'Sa, your go-to trade is auto plus Q, but you can't always do that. You have to stay vigilant to the enemy ADC and support range and cooldowns. Also, one of the best trading tips is to follow the triangulation method, which CoreJJ, LCS Korean support, talked about. And that means positioning yourself in a way where you're on the opposite side of the enemy support and where the enemy AD is in a triangle between you and your own support. Which then brings us into our third point, playing aggressive or passive. Well, I've seen many articles and videos where people say such player has an aggressive playstyle or such player plays very defensive. And there is nothing more wrong than that. A good player should have the ability to adapt to each given scenario. There are times where you will have to play aggressive on your opponent. For example, when he comes in for CS, or he just used his cooldowns, then that's your window to go for a trade or an all-in. Another scenario, when you want to trade HP to prepare a dive, as we mentioned earlier, or if you have an item advantage after recall. On the other hand, and a lot of times throughout the game, it will be on you to play defensively. If you know, for example, that the opposite jungler is about to gank or dive you, and at the same time your jungler is cross-mapping topside, therefore no one to cover you, then you must give your CS sometimes, even if it means staying alive. Jumping into our fourth tip, using your sums correctly. And yes, there are more uses to some summoner spells than what we only use them for. For example, heal sometimes can be really good for the movement speed to help you support gap close and get in range, or even help you get out of sticky situations. Also in teamfights, it can be used if you need to reposition from a bad spot. And as an ADC, we all know that without flash, we feel so vulnerable, and pretty much anyone can kill us in the game. So you have to make sure to always keep your flash for objectives that are coming up. I've seen many ADCs burn their flash to make a montage play a minute before Baron, which is what really decides the game. One of the most important aspects in the game, especially during mid-game, rotation and waves. After the laning phase, we've all felt lost at some point in the game and not knowing what to do, and it's okay to feel that way, as we cannot control the flow of every game. But one thing for sure is that we can control our own actions. And when laning phase is done as ADC, if you get out of it even or ahead from lane, you wanna make sure to sub to mid lane. Why? Well, I'll tell you why. If you're playing champs that take down towers fast, such as Caitlyn or Tristana, swapping to mid lane makes you get even more plates and take down the most important tower of the game. Let's say you're not playing those champs. Most fights happen in the mid game. They are usually around mid lane, which means having such proximity will help you be part of those fights and making an impact on the game without disrupting the game flow. As an ADC, these tips have honestly helped me unlock the player I am today and get multiple accounts to Grandmasters very easily. And I know for sure that they can definitely help you. If you guys enjoyed today's video and find yourself that these tips have helped you, then please like the video, subscribe and comment.